Hey, and welcome to Bright Stars Counterpunchers video about the differences between mental health and well-being versus mental illnesses. And the reason why we're doing this video is just awareness of what the differences are and how they can affect each other, and how they're just as important to each other, but they have their own subtle differences. Okay, what we have done is done a little PowerPoint presentation so you can see what we're on about at the exact same time as me talking, so you don't have to keep looking at my ugly mug the whole time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly share my screen now. There we go. Nice pretty presentation there for us all. So Bright Stars Counterpunch, differences between mental health and mental illnesses. Okay, I'm just going to go into this in regards to keep it as basic as possible, as friendly as possible. But all we're going to be doing is literally a quick awareness of what is mental health, awareness of what is well-being, awareness of what is classed as a mental illness, and understanding how they can be different but affect each other in other ways. Okay, and they can be just as important as each other. Mental health. Best way to think about mental health is it's what's happening on the inside, between your mind, your body, and a lot of people say your soul. Okay, so mental health is about our emotions, it's about our physiology and our social well-being. So if you're not feeling mentally healthy, you can come across depressed, you can feel low, you can feel really sad. That doesn't mean you've actually got depression or anxiety disorders or anything like that. It just means your mental health is not as at full peak. So if you think about it as if you haven't had enough sugar in a day, you can feel lightheaded and low. It's because your body needs that sugar. Sometimes with mental health, you just need that quick pick-me-up. Okay, mental health is important in everything that we do, because if you've got poor mental health, then unfortunately you won't have the same energy as normal. You won't be able to do things as normal. You won't even be able to enjoy things as what would be classed as normal. Okay. Mental health does have different stages. It can be as minor stage where it's as low as just feel a bit crappy that day, or it can be as high as chronic depression where you can't even get out of bed for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. So mental health does have a positive and negative impact in regards to your life, because when you're positively happy, you've got good mental health, things are going well, and when you've got poor mental health, things can be quite low and quite difficult on a day-to-day basis. Okay, you don't, like it says there, you don't need to have a mental illness to have poor mental health. So you've got mental health as best way to describe mental health is something before a mental illness. So if you look at stages of which way it goes, you start off with poor mental health, that turns into really bad mental health, that can then turn into a mental illness, and so on and so on. But it doesn't actually mean that you have mental illness if you have poor mental health. Okay, there's a little quote at the bottom there saying, understand the stages of our mental health can make how we see, feel, and react to life's challenges in a more effective and positive way. That is important, because if you're in control of your mental health and you have an understanding of how you feel, how you think, how you react, you can also in turn control how you're feeling, and you can understand why certain things make you feel a certain way, and that is key to a really good mental health. Well-being. Okay, well-being is a lot of things. It could be what some people say. It could be meditating. It could be your surroundings. It can be anything that is a positive or a negative in your life. So if you think about it, it's about being happy. It's about being comfortable in ourselves. And then overall, it's heart, mind, body, and soul. So it's everything that you can think of. So if you combine the two, mental health and well-being, your mental health is on the inside and your well-being is on the outside. So if you are in control of what's going on the inside and understanding what's going on the outside, you can have a better understanding of your mental health and well-being altogether. There's a little quote at the bottom from the Oxford English Dictionary. So I just managed to copy that over just so you can have a look at it. But the definition is well-being is defined by Oxford English Dictionary as the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. However, it is important to realise that well-being is much broader concept than moment-to-moment happiness. So it's about being in control of your life. It's about being in control of what makes you happy, and making sure your surroundings react in a positive way and not in a negative way. So you could have good mental health, but if your well-being, so your job, your family, your friends, everything else around you is not very good, then it means you've got poor well-being, and that can impact on your mental health dramatically. So a good combination, a good balance to both can improve how you feel about yourself and others in a really positive way. If it's a really bad surroundings and you're struggling, then it can impact on your mental health really badly, and make things a lot more difficult. Like I said, how they work together. So mental health is the inside and how your body reacts to this. Well-being is what's happening around us and what we do with it. So there's a little quote down there. The definition of mental health and well-being is about how our body, mind, body, and soul react to our daily surroundings. If you have good mental health and well-being, we react to negative situations in a better manner. If you have poor mental health and well-being, negative situations can and will affect us in a more negative way. So, like I said earlier, if you don't have control of what's going on in your life and your mental health and your well-being, then what will happen there is things that are already difficult will get more difficult. Things that are really positive, you may not enjoy as much because your mental health and your well-being is not really up to where you need it to be. And so to enjoy things in life, you need to be in control of your own mental health and your own well-being. That could be anything from having grounding skills, having a therapist, a counsellor, a friend, someone to talk to try and improve that. Give yourself life goals. Give yourself a little pat on the back when you're doing something good, and then being aware when something's not quite right and you can control it. We will do a slide in the future about differences of what's in and out of your control and what triggers different situations in your life, but that'll be further on down the road. So most importantly, the thing I'd always look out for is if something's affecting my mental health and well-being, is it important in my life? If it's not, and you can live without it, then live without it. If your job is you're struggling with your job and it's causing really bad mental health and well-being, try and get some help. Try and have a chat with somebody about it. If they can't do anything about it, maybe it's time to start looking at something that is more beneficial for you, because there's no point in being in a situation that's not really positive, because it's just going to make you feel worse. On this slide, it's on there, what can affect your mental health and well-being. Like the quote says, everything involved in our lives can make a positive or negative impact. So there's a couple of examples there. The ones in red are some of the main reasons why people can have poor mental health. So you've got anxiety, which is a mental illness, depression, mental illness, and then other mental illnesses. Okay, your bills. Everyone always stresses about bills. Social media is the best thing and worst thing ever made since sliced bread. The reason for this is it could be very, very helpful. It can be really beneficial, but at the same time, it causes so many problems with people's mental health and well-being. Unreal. We are our biggest critics. And we also, a lot of people are not very nice to other people online, just down to the fact of they can't see you and people feel they can get away with it. The other ones that are in white are stuff like family, holidays, work, new experiences, social life, and friends. These all can impact your life in a positive or negative way, depending on what's happening and your surroundings. So having a good friends and a good social life is brilliant, because it can give you a pick-me-up. Having good family around you is good support. Holidays can be stressful. They can bring on anxiety and depression. Doesn't mean you're going to be diagnosed with an illness because of it. It just means that it can be a stressful time because you're going somewhere new, and it's about understanding what's going on in your life and understanding what's going on in your head beforehand. Why is it making you feel happy? Why is it making you feel sad? And it's just taking it down step by step and understanding what's going on in your body. Work, self-explanatory. You know, either work your arse off and get nowhere, and it makes you feel really, really, really bad, and you struggle, or you work really, really hard, and you getting somewhere in life, and that can make you really feel really happy. But it's down to you to realize what you want to do with that. You're in control of your life, even when you don't feel like it. So if something's not going your way, it's just taking that step back and re-looking at it and reassessing what you actually want to do. Okay. Now this is where we're going to talk about the differences between mental health and well-being and mental illnesses. Okay. Mental health and well-being is something that happens in your life without a diagnosis, without an illness. An illness is mental illnesses are conditions that can be diagnosed. So I've got a couple of examples there, but there are a lot more. But the main ones that you probably come about is depression, anxiety, panic attacks, postnatal depression for male and female, PTSD, psychosis, schizophrenia, personality disorders. There's quite a few of them. There's borderline, there's personality, there's a wide range of personality disorders, bipolar disorders, anger, body dysmorphia, which is really, really common these days, especially with social media. When I mentioned earlier about social media, it's really, really massively common because everyone thinks they need to be better than what they are, but actually you just need to be happy in yourself. Drugs and alcohol, the classes are their own conditions because they're addictions. So addiction problems can be very difficult. Eating problems, hearing voices. You don't have to have a mental health condition to hear voices, but a lot of people can, and a lot of people do associate hearing voices with a mental health condition. It's not. A lot of people do hear voices without having a mental health illness and OCD, and there are many more, but I'll be here all day listening them out if I could. What I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the glass half full example. I'm going to do it in two different ways. I'm going to do one with a mental illness and one without. Okay, so if you think about it, you've got a pint glass, and in that, at the bottom of that pint glass, you've got a little faucet, a little tap. Okay, everybody's pint glass is half full. So daily stuff, daily stresses, so going to work, coming back. You think about it, everyone's got their standard half full glass of normal day stresses. Somebody without a mental illness, someone with good mental health and well-being, that half, when you throw something in the mix, which is stressful, can be anything. So a family member dies, or a cat dies, or you trip over in the street. It could be anything from minor to extreme. Water, more liquid will go into that glass. Depending on your tolerance and your mental health and well-being, it depends on how much liquid goes in that glass. But let's just say you've got really good tolerance, got really good mental health and really good well-being, and something happens. Our glass starts getting filled up with liquid, okay? But it never touches the peak, okay? Because the reason for this is because you've got good mental health, good well-being, when things get too much, the faucet turns on and a little bit of liquid comes out. So it starts draining that liquid for you. And then when you've done it, drained it enough, you turn the tap off, and then your glass is half full again. Now you imagine someone with poor mental health and well-being. Exact same scenario, exact same situation. Pint glass, half full, starts filling up, but it fills up a lot quicker and with a lot more liquid than what it would be if you had good mental health and well-being. And when you turn on that tap and that faucet to try and get rid of it, it drips instead of pours out because you haven't got a good outlet. And then at some point, that liquid's going to overfill over the top and overspill. And that's when you see a lot of people going through crises. That's when you see a lot of people struggling and things getting too much. And they turn to things to help for coping mechanisms. They can get angry, they can get upset, they can have loads of different areas in their life that they could be struggling, and unfortunately sometimes can turn into one of these mental illnesses. Okay, so in that example, having a good mental health and well-being having a good outlay, like a good tap to turn on, making sure your liquid in your glass doesn't fill up as much as it should do. So it's a slow trickle in and a fast trickle out. Okay, now imagine that glass. So if you've got a mental health illness, imagine that glass, instead of being a pint glass, it's now 3/4 the size of a pint glass. Okay, That's what it's like having a mental illness. You have the exact same daily liquids as everyone else, but your glass isn't as big as everyone else's. And that faucet at the bottom is rusty. Really, really difficult to undo. Really difficult to allow any liquid out. So then, on top of that, you've got this mental illness. So you've got smaller glass, really rubbish faucet. You start pouring water or liquid into that glass, it's going to fill up a lot quicker than anyone else's because there's less to fill. So that means it's going to overfill a lot quicker. And every time you try and turn out that on that tap, it's so much more difficult. It's really hard. It's like, that's why I always describe it. It's like I'm walking through wet mud, sludge. It's really difficult, really slow, and it takes ages to do. And so then that liquid doesn't come out as quick as it's filling up. So that's why you'll notice people with mental health illnesses will go from 0 to 100 very, very quickly because they've got less to fill. Now imagine someone with mental health illness and really bad or really bad mental health and well-being. Not only is that glass smaller, the liquid's going to go in twice as much, and the faucet is just not going to work at all because it's going to fog your mind. It's going to make it really difficult to understand what's a benefit in life, what's a benefit in things, what's a benefit in moving forward. So it's good to have a good support network, people to rely on, people to help you when you do get to that stage. Because what they can do, they can come along and they can put something to extend the glass, add a glass on top, so they can fill that glass instead of your glass. They can come along and they put some like WD-40 on your tap and your faucet, so it opens up better. When people struggle, you don't do it alone. It's not about doing it on your own. It's about having the right support and the right network for you. Not everything works the same. So some therapy works for some people, medication works for others, and even just having a chat with your mate or a pint down the pub with your friends can be enough. But it's getting that support network. And we understand that we're all in lockdown at the moment and things are a lot more difficult. But we're in a day and age now where everything's just about social media. Even when we're with our mates, we're still going to be texting. We're still going to be watching videos. We're still going to be on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you think about it. When we're out and about with our mates, we're still on them anyway. So let's use them as a benefit and a positive. I'm going to chat with your friends, video call, anything that can help, try it. Going out and doing fitness, it's a key thing. Bright Stars Counterpunch is about using boxing and your mental health together. So what we do is we show how learning how to box can be the same as learning how your mind works and how your mind can overcome anything. So it's just finding that grounding tool for you so you can work on yourself. Like I said earlier about how mental health and illnesses work together, mental health and well-being, mental illnesses are impact with each other because if you have a mental illness with poor mental health and well-being, you can make a mental illness worse, which is correct. Personally, myself, my background, I have PTSD. I've had it for a while, and if I have good mental health and well-being and good structure around me, my life's brilliant. I wouldn't even notice I've got it. But then if my mental health and well-being slips, I can really struggle. My PTSD would overtake me. So I have to make sure be very vigilant and diligent on what I do and how I live my life, because I don't want to be who I was 7-8 years ago. I want to be who I am now. And that's enough goal for anyone to want to move forward. So it's about being in control. One thing I always say to the lads, and one thing I always say to myself every single day, always fight for that one step forward, but never fear that one step back. That quote is so important to me because it's always about moving forward, and everyone needs that step back to reassess what they're doing moving forward. So if you just keep thinking about that when life gets difficult, it's about learning how to reassess any situation, accept, assess, and overcome. It's down to, we can show you the tools. Anyone can show you the tools. It's you that needs to use them. Even if you don't have a mental illness, if you have poor mental health and well-being for long enough, that can turn into quite severe illness. So, for example, if you have poor mental health and well-being, and you're struggling so much that you're not sleeping, you're not eating properly, you're not taking care of yourself because you just haven't got the energy, that can turn into conditions like psychosis, and that can lead on to other things. You can get chronic depression or depression. You can get an anxiety disorder. You can get quite a lot of mental health illnesses if you don't look after your body and mind. And you can always tell if you're not really feeling 100% because you'll be tired. You can get shakes. You can feel sick. You can get angry very quickly. You can get upset and sad very quickly. So it's about being aware of what's going on in your body. If you're feeling down and your body's reacting to it, go see a doctor. There's nothing wrong with that. They're there to help. They can either suggest trying a bit of medication because you could have a chemical imbalance in the body, or they can mention doing CBT or being referred to a specialist team to have a chat with. There's no harm in getting help. It will improve if you get the help. I have put a bit of support services around Telford and Shropshire on here. These three main ones are the reason why I picked these, because Telford Mind, biggest mental health charity probably in the UK at the moment in regards to support, and they've got places all over Telford and Shropshire. You've got IAPT. That is a team that you'd probably get referred to from your doctors. They work within mental health from low intensity, but they work across the board, and you can refer yourself in or you can get referred in from your doctor. And then you've got the Shropshire Access team for Telford and Wrekin. Anything that you struggle with in regards to your mental health will normally go through Access team. So if you go for a crisis or anything like that, then that'll probably be the place that they'll refer you to for them to refer you onto the right team. So it's worth it if you need to get in contact with them if you're struggling, or if you want to have a chat with any of us in our team, you can. Our details down there. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, our unit where we do our Saturday open sessions. The address is on the bottom as well. But at the same time, if you just go on our Facebook page, we'll have our contact details there that you can get in contact if you just want a little bit more advice or a little bit more, or someone to chat to. There's Samaritans, there's loads of different charities and services out there that can help you. I hope this has been helpful, and I know I waffled on for a little bit, so I do apologise, and I hope I've made it a little bit more clearer than just reading the PowerPoint. But it's been great to speak to you all, and if you need anything, just get in touch. Just don't do it alone. And I can understand that with lockdown, it can be a little bit more difficult. So I hope this does help in regards to noticing the difference. And if you need to work on it a little bit more, we're more than happy to help. Or there's these services here that you can turn to, and they'll be able to help you with it as well.